Hi, I'm Laura Dis, the broker and owner of Q Boutique Specialty Realty. And today I want to talk to you if you have been thinking about buying your first home. So I was talking to someone the other day and I was reminded because I've been doing this for too long. I've been doing this for 16 years. And so I forget how overwhelming things can be when it's such a big decision and it's such a huge new chapter in your life. So I really appreciated the conversation that I had with this person, and that's what inspired me to make this video. So the goal of this video is just to let you know that if you've been thinking about buying your first home and you feel like it's a little bit overwhelming, I wanted to let you know that, first of all, I would be honored to be a resource helping you through the process. Again, I've got tons of experience. I've got trusted professionals that I work with that between all of us, we will get you to the finish line and we will make sure that we get you a fantastic deal that you could have never even dreamed was possible. Let me start by saying I like to make it as easy as one, two, three. It's not necessarily like quite that trite, but the first steps of one, two, three are a great place to start. So, step one, are you ready to be a homeowner? So, there's a big difference between renting and owning your own home. And it might be different for you at different times in your life. So, if you like to travel, if you have a job that's maybe like a contract term that you don't know how long it's going to be, or you do know how long it's going to be, you're thinking about relocating to another state or another area, you're not quite sure where you want to settle down, renting is probably the best choice for you right now. If you are in a place where you want maybe like a bigger backyard, you want to get some pets, you want to expand your family, whether that's with children or having an auntie or a grandma or a grandpa, somebody moving in with you and expanding your household that way. And you're set, locally with like your schooling, your job, your friends, and you know that you're going to stay in the area for, maybe 5 to 7 years at least. Definitely consider buying a home. And buying a home is a great asset to have because property does appreciate over time. Land value does appreciate over time. And even though property prices go up and down, depending on where we are in the market, whether it's a buyer's market or a seller's market, it's always a great thing to buy the property because just in 3 to 5 years, it's usually going to be worth a lot more than what you would pay for it if you hadn't have bought it when you did. So I think there's a saying that, the best price of a property is one that you bought yesterday instead of today. Take that with a grain of salt, but it does illustrate the point that property does always appreciate, especially if you hold it long enough, and it will make money for you. The first step is if you know you've got a job and you can sustain these, a steady income, you're in a situated place as far as, where you're located at in town or where you want to be at. The next step is making sure that you can qualify for a mortgage. Typically, there's about 3 or 4 things that you have to get approved to get a mortgage. There's all different kinds of loans, by the way, and we'll get to that later. I don't want to overwhelm you with this right off the bat, but some kind of things to go by are a 640 credit score. You can check that on Credit Karma and see. The other thing is called a debt to income ratio. And so that means how much money do you spend on your bills and expenses and like credit cards versus how much money you make every month. So if you're paying out almost everything that you make on credit card bills, car payments, rent, shopping, things like that, you might want to tighten that up. And talking to a good mortgage lender he'll help refine that process for you and he'll help guide you and be like, hey, if you can cut back here, you need to free up this much money here, you need to pay off this credit card here, and that will get you to the sweet spot of where you need to be to get approved for your loan based on how much debt you're currently carrying. The other thing is whether you're an employee somewhere or you're an independent contractor or you're self-employed, those things matter and they are calculated differently. And also you have to be current on paying your income tax. So the taxes that are due every year in April, you have to be up to date on paying your federal income taxes. They do require copies of the last 2 years of those. They require 60 days of bank statements, and 60 days of pay stubs showing that your income is somewhat steady, or they can kind of get an idea. Do you get bonuses? Are they regular? Do you get a set paycheck? But that helps them all calculate how much home you can afford. Getting pre-approved for a mortgage is a great first start. And even if you don't get pre-approved, it is guardrails that show you how you can make little improvements and when you'll be ready to be approved financially to get that mortgage. So even if you don't qualify now, it will help you, and a good mortgage lender will put you on a plan, a recommendation of what you can do to be able to get approved within 6 or 12 months. So sometimes just knowing is a great place to start. It definitely empowers you to move forward with homeownership goals. The second part of, well, actually, like I said, be a third part. So the first part is, are you ready to be a homeowner or is it better for you to rent? Second part is, do you qualify for a loan and how much house can you buy? Like, how much of a loan will they give you? And how much down payment money do you need? And the third part is, again, the money part, I would say. Like, it's easy to go shopping for a house. We know where you want to be. We know the size of the home. We know the budget because now you have a mortgage pre-approval letter. So we know what you can afford. So the fun part is like setting up viewings of homes. So when you find a great agent, we're happy to refine your criteria and your process to make sure that by the time that we're going out and showing you homes, every home we show you is something you want to see and you can afford to purchase that home if you fall in love and you want to make an offer on it. You know, having that great real estate agent is the next crucial step. And an agent is also pivotal that can help you with pricing and offer. So there's a lot of things that we can do as agents to make your home purchase more affordable for you. Again, I'm not going to go too deep in it right now. There's a lot of expenses that go into buying your home and your monthly mortgage payment. So we can negotiate on our purchase offer once you find a house that you like for the seller to contribute and reduce your cash out, your money that's going out that you have to pay to be able to buy the home. So you have to be able to pay your down payment, but a lot of people can also, if you're fortunate enough to have a family that can gift you down payment money, that's a way that you don't have to actually have it in your bank. You could just get a gift letter and you can buy a home for as little as 3.5% down. And that's 3.5% of the purchase price. So if you were looking at, just for the sake of like easy numbers, a house that was $100,000, 3.5% of that is $3,500. And that's all that's required for your down payment. And a good agent will be able to negotiate any of the additional cost to be paid by the other party. So, I mean, how amazing is that? Between money that you have saved, maybe money that you can borrow, money you can get gifted, taking some money out of savings or 401k, if this is, your goal, you can absolutely do all of that. And an agent will be able to help negotiate things for you. Again, so I've got some clients right now that are first-time buyers, and I think I negotiated one of the very best purchases with these folks. And it helped that the other agent, the listing agent that was representing the home sellers and the sellers themselves, they've been fantastic to work with. They've been so gracious. They've been very generous with all of our requests, but we asked for a lot. So not only did we get a great price on the property, meaning we were able to purchase the property for less than it appraised for. What that means is the property is worth more than we paid for it. The appraisal was higher than the purchase price. So that means that they automatically walk into the home with instant equity. And equity is how much extra you have over what you owe on it. So that's just what equity means. In case you don't know, it's fine. So we were able to get a great deal under appraised value. We were able to negotiate 2 years of prepaid homeowners association fees. So when you have an HOA that was, I think this one was like $250 or $275 a month, and I was able to negotiate for the sellers to prepay that for 2 years. These folks don't have to pay that. So we got that built into the deal. So they're going to pay that at closing directly to the homeowners association for 2 years. So my clients are prepaid. They don't have to worry about that. So they can get their feet together. They can buy their new furniture. It just reduces the pressure of expenses that are associated with buying a new home. You've got to do furniture. You've got to do, startup utilities. It's an expense. Moving is expensive. We were able to negotiate fresh paint inside. We had them repaint the entire interior, and we also had them replace the flooring upstairs. So my clients are getting fresh paint, brand new flooring, and they got to choose the colors. They got to choose the type of flooring they wanted within the options, the prices that were of the materials that were within a certain time, price range, but they were able to pick the colors they wanted to really make the house their own. So that was super exciting. We saved them a ton of money and we got all of their closing costs covered. So besides the down payment, the other big expense that you're going to have is something called closing cost. And the majority of closing costs comes from the cost of obtaining a mortgage. So you're going to pay mortgage fees, and that's due, and that's called closing cost. There's also some other incidental things like recording taxes and stuff that's just like taxes and insurance things, homeowners insurance, some property tax, incidental fees, but all of these end up being closing cost. And so we were able to get all of their closing costs negotiated to be paid by the seller. So my clients are moving in for 3.5% down payment. They don't have to pay their HOA dues for 2 years. That came out to $7,500 that we saved them on that. They were able to get brand new paint and new flooring for the upstairs, which ended up coming out to another $7,500. And I was able to negotiate for the sellers to pay all of their closing costs and my commission. But their closing cost, $12,000. So my clients could not be happier. Now, any of the extra money that they had in their savings account, they get to focus on buying new furniture for their place. They want to get a dog. Now you get to do the happy things because you've got the money. A good agent can save you money in ways that you never even knew about. So if you want to learn more, and if this sounds like something that you'd like to see is a good fit for you, I'd be happy to give you a no pressure, like free consultation. And even the word consultation sounds kind of like stuffy. Like I would say, call me, come to my office in Lake Mary. Let's just sit down and have a conversation. I want you to ask me all of your questions, and I'm a straight shooter and I want to answer everything, and I'll give it to you straight. If it's not a good time, or it seems like, maybe you should wait a year, it doesn't sound like you're quite ready, then I'm definitely going to give you that advice because I value long-term relationships, and I want you to know that I am someone you can trust. So again, if you're thinking about buying a home for the first time and you have questions and some of this sounds good to you, please reach out to me and I'd love to see if I can help you.